Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to look at Terraform backend and how to lock it using DynamoDB. In our previous video, we did look at how to configure our Terraform backend on our S3 bucket. For that, we created an S3 bucket which we called myIquant_test. In case you missed it, you can go back to watch our previous tutorial. This is the bucket we created, and we gave it a path in the backend file as dev myStatefile terraform.tfstate, which can be shown right here. If you go through it, you see the Terraform Statefile right there on our AWS S3 bucket. Now consider this scenario. Assume that you are 3 people or 4 people in a team working on provisioning resources or infrastructure using Terraform. And let's say I'm trying to create an EC2 instance, whilst a colleague of mine is trying to create an EC2 instance at the same time. We don't want that to happen. And so that's when Terraform lock comes in, and it's very important. Another thing also is we use Terraform state lock to prevent others from acquiring the lock and potentially corrupting the state file. Now the state file here contains configuration about the current state of all the resources that we've created using Terraform. So we need this to be safely stored somewhere. By locking it using the DynamoDB table, we secure it from potential corruption of our Terraform state file. Now, how do we implement that? Since our S3 bucket is already set up, so we only have the EC2 instance resource that we are creating. And now we need to create a DynamoDB table to lock our state file. Let's go to the Terraform documentation. So say AWS DynamoDB Terraform. So this is an example. It's a bit lengthy, so I'll copy up to, let's go up to this point. Paste it. So you have a resource, and let's call this Iquant DynamoDB table. For the name, let's call it Iquant State Lock. Billing mode, let's see the options. Billing mode is optional. So if you pick provisioned billing option, then these two, read capacity and write capacity, are required. If that is the case, let's choose a different option. Let's use pay per request. Of course, you can still use provisioned. That's no problem. Use pay per request and get rid of these two. Don't really need it right now. Hash key, I'll call this my lock ID attribute. From the hash key, I used lock ID. So instead of user ID, I'm gonna call this attribute lock ID, and the type is gonna be S for string. Now we need to close the other parenthesis, which is this one. I think our DynamoDB table looks good. Let's save this. Next is to go back to the backend file where we specify the bucket, the key, region, and encryption. We are gonna add our DynamoDB underscore table, and that's gonna be the name of our DynamoDB. Copy, paste it in here, save this. Let me clear the screen first. Terraform init. So our backend configuration changed. So we need to use Terraform init migrate state. Terraform plan. So it says that no identity-based policy allows DynamoDB put item action, and then no identity-based policy allows DynamoDB get item action. Now if you read this error, you can clearly see it's about the IAM policies. Let's go back to our IAM. Go to your IAM user, and our user is Terra. You need to add permission, attach directly. looking for DynamoDB. Let's just add the full access for DynamoDB for now. Okay. Alright, so these are the three policies that we have in our IAM policy. So let's run Terraform plan again. So we see another error which says requested resource not found, same as this one. A lot of time you will encounter this error. Now this shows up especially if it's supported by a backend. Terraform usually will lock your state file for all operations that could write to the state file. That helps to prevent other people from corrupting your state file. To get around this, just run the Terraform apply command. You're gonna add the flag lock and set it to false. Okay, so it's successful. DynamoDB table is created. Let's check something. If you go back to this .terraform, you go to terraform.tf state, open it, and look for DynamoDB table. Yep, it's right here. We have our lock. We can also go into the DynamoDB service, DynamoDB. We created a table, so go to tables, and you see the DynamoDB table that we created active. Okay, and we used a lock ID of type S. So just like that, we've put a lock on our Terraform backend in the S3 using a DynamoDB table called iquant state lock. So this is how you would lock your state file from getting corrupted. I hope this video is helpful. Please leave a like on this video, share and comment below. And so please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And of course, before you leave, be sure to destroy your resources. So Terraform destroy to destroy everything you've created. By the way, when you try to destroy, you get this error. That's the whole idea of locking your state. You can't just modify any resources just like that, because it's been safely stored in a remote bucket and a lock is being put on it using a DynamoDB table. So a lot of the commands, you would have to utilize the lock flag, even though it's not recommended as shown here.